Time to tour the Red Clay. It's the Red Clay Soccer Report here on SDH. John here, you there. Thanks for coming by, as you always do. Here's the rundown for today. Coming up in just a little bit, when he can get free out of class, Dustin, Jennette, the head coach for the boys side at GMC Prep, will find out about his Creek Cup experience. We'll kind of talk a little bit about the conversation that we had as they were getting ready to head back to Milledgeville after the tournament was over, and find out about the busy week that they've got ahead. They had a match earlier in the week, and they've got another one coming up tomorrow. So we'll get into the rhythm of the schedule and find out what's going on at GMC Prep. And after that, Brian Lawson, the head coach at Jeff Davis, and we will catch up with him. And we have a nominee coming up at 12:20 for our Georgia call-up. And we'll find out what life is like with Fish Munciak, and we'll find out what's going on there. In the Pinelands at 12:20, 12:40, Kelly Bowler is going to join us from Johns Creek. We'll find out what's up with Johns Creek, about winning Creek Cup, winning brackets, and about the Cup itself, because, last time that Kelly was on last week, he was talking about how things are already getting ready for 27. So we'll find out what's going on with Creek Cup coming up also here in the hour. Without further ado, as the kids say, at least I think the kids say that, Dustin Jennette, head coach for GMC Prep, is going to join us here in the Red Clay, and we have cleaned off our cleats, and we are in the Red Clay, but the cleats are fine. We're not tracking into the house. Dustin, good to see you, my friend, and it's another week getting after it, huh? Oh, I think somebody tried to call him. Just as I was asking the first question. It's like, see, this is how important he is. People are trying to call him in the middle of interviews.
Hi, how are you, John? How are you doing today?
Doing all right, Coach. Oh boy, this is how it look. It's live TV. This is what happened, and he is a very, very busy and wanted individual. But we'll find out what's going on at GMC Prep, and it was like I said, it was a busy week for them after Creek Cup, and then after Creek Cup, they ended up with another matchup we got to talk about, and then the matchup that they got. You are a busy dude. Everybody's wanting to talk to you, man.
I have no clue what's happening. It's not calls. It's just dropping. I just got off Wi-Fi to make sure we didn't have some weird blocker on, but hey, we'll give it another shot.
It's all good. We're not going anywhere. This is time to catch up with you. You and I talked as you were getting ready to head back to campus after Creek Cup, and now that you've had another couple of days to kind of think about it, what sticks with you from what you got to see in non-region play against some talented opponents that wouldn't necessarily be on your schedule?
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said the bus ride home was very fun. Quite honestly, we're not used to losing, especially back-to-back games early season. With that being said, that was the plan. It was the plan to play quality opponents that we didn't know anything about, that our players didn't know anything about. And we found out more about ourselves in one weekend than I think we found out about ourselves until the playoffs last year. We lost one game last year to Peach County in penalties in our second game of the season. And then we didn't lose until the Elite Eight at Tryon. So when we built this schedule this year, there was a lot of emphasis on not being complacent. Last year, we only had 2 seniors. So I knew coming in that there was already going to be an expectation on paper anyway, that these kids are like, well, we only lost, 2 seniors. One was a starter. We've got this. And that, I think I heard last week on your show, maybe from Coach Bowler, paper doesn't win championships. And it's something that I kind of picked up on this weekend. So yeah, we've got a ton of tough non-region opponents, and that was by design. I wanted to test these kids. I wanted to be able to find out who we were, what we needed to work on, and that we succeeded in that. I definitely found out what we needed to work on, and we kind of showed what we learned last night in our next home match.
Yep, you had the 7-1 win last night against Warner Robins, and just for folks that may not know, your non-region, Union Grove, Islands, Tallulah Falls, Warner Robins, the game we'll talk about coming up tomorrow in Gray against Jones County. You've got Peach County on the board again. Then you drift into your region play. Then you've got Appalachia. Then LOA is there. And then it's Atkinson and Pike and Glass. I mean, this is loaded. When you're trying to when GMC is trying to stack a non-region schedule and you're knocking on people's doors, do they sit there and they go, oh, it's like, oh, that ended up in my spam folder. I'm sorry. You know, what are the conversations like when you want to dial up non-region schedules? What is that like for GMC?
You know what? It's actually quite the opposite.
Okay.
A lot of times they come looking for us. And I mean, I had to turn down several quality opponents this season in December when my schedule was done, just like kind of last minute. Atlanta International was another one. And that's an honor to even be considered with some of these opponents. Even Coach Bowler inviting us to the tournament. I mean, I told the boys, like, don't, really appreciate that because, most 1A schools struggle to have a JV team, and I have, 20 kids sitting on a bench if I take everybody, if I take the JV team with us, and I don't think that's normal. It's a testament to the program that we, Coach Bobby Jaworski, built here, and now I have the privilege of taking over.
And it put a smile on my face because I was calling the match, and I just see this sea of red on the bench. It's like I was wondering. It's like, now is everybody going to get to sit on the bench? Do you need to bring the benches over from the other side? When you brought everybody and they were all standing in that line, I was like, I mean, for a Class A program to have that much firepower and that much depth, I thought it was a really cool thing to see, and that folks around the state should notice about what GMC is building and has built, that you've got this long line of folks that are ready to just go ahead and be in drills and ready to go and play for you.
Yes, sir. I actually was advised not to take everybody to this tournament. And I said, look, we put a lot of work in. We put a lot of work in preseason. I don't care how old you are. If you're a freshman, sophomore, junior, obviously a senior, you're a part of the family. And, they knew that they probably, a lot of them knew that they weren't going to get any minutes. But, it was the stuff in between. It was going out to eat as a team. How many times do you get to do that where there's no choice? We're riding a bus to go sit down together. We had a lot of time to kill Saturday. We ended up at a park in Johns Creek just hanging out. There were some futsal courts. We kicked around a little bit because we're building for the future. And I want kids, when they're deciding what high school sport to play, if maybe they, are tossing up a couple of sports, they know they've got a family and we're successful. And, even alumni coming back. I mean, we have alumni at every home game, and we live in Milledgeville. I mean, people don't typically stay around here, when they go to college, and I still see alumni every game coming back to watch us. And it's different around here. That's all I can say.
And when it was the other football season, and the other version of me is there, and you make the tours around the state, and you look at and this is from our friends at the Georgia ZMCs. And it is the Cooperative Spirit Sportsmanship Award. And when you get the chance to go to schools, and in this case, it had been a long time since I had visited Milledgeville. And when we got to go there to campus, and we got to go and see what it's like. And like I said, it had been a long time since I had been there to campus, but to see what it means, and to catch up with Lieutenant Colonel Corson and kind of get the tour and see what it means on an American football Friday night. It was really cool for me to see that and know that when you have a program like what you and Coach Jaworski are building on the other football side, all these deep runs that you're making in all these different categories, it was fun for me to see what Milledgeville means to GMC Prep and what GMC Prep in turn means to Milledgeville.
It's huge. I catch myself. I didn't have the pleasure of going here. I actually went to Jones County. I'm a Jones County alumni who is our next opponent. But I have a privilege of working here now, and funny story. I used to volunteer for the soccer program. That's how I got my start, because I could just see. We have a 9/11 ceremony, and it'll bring a tear to your eye. The pride that we carry, and the, just every day is special around here. We have congressmen and the governor and so on and so forth, and just the tradition. It truly is special. And we right now our soccer field's under some renovations, and we're playing on historic Davenport Field, the football field. And when you're sitting on the bench and you're looking at the old Capitol building behind you with a beautiful night sky.
Dustin, Jennette, head coach of GMC Prep, hanging out with us. But yeah, I mean, it's really cool to have the visuals and the fact that you guys are playing on Davenport. I didn't know that with the soccer field having all the renovations, that you're playing on Davenport right now. And I was able to be there on the field at Davenport this year, and trying to make sure that I wasn't going to be hit by any of the thunderstorms that we knew were coming on that game day. But I mean, it was cool for me to go back, and it had been a long time since I had been back, but you have all of these moments like you're talking about that you get to play there now, and you get to kind of have that added dimension to what you're building up to a soccer program now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's like I said, it's really special. It really is. And the support we get around here. We're obviously a small town and smallish compared to a lot of the towns around.
I got to talk to Lieutenant Colonel Corson about the connections there, but I mean but yeah, I mean it is very it is a special town, and I completely agree with you in that. Jones County, they're coming up next. Actually, let me go back to Warner Robins. Warner Robins was 7-1. What did you learn about yourself last night?
Well, I tell you what, I learned that we do have some offensive firepower. I feel like that's what we were missing. And we do, we start the season, preseason is a week and a half. It feels like it.
And I apologize for all of the ducking in and out. There, wait, hang on. That's my turn. So I hit the button 3 times. All right. So what'd you learn with Warner Robins?
So we were lacking in attack, I felt. This weekend, I felt like we spent a lot of time working on building out of the back, possession in the midfield. We can make excuses. We have 2 basketball players that are one of them is going to hopefully break the all-time GMC goal scoring record. That's at 66 right now. He plays basketball. Our starting 10 who had an.
Wow. Okay. So it is a campus thing. All right. So he tried to go with his cell phone, and in addition to the computer. So it is a campus thing. That's crazy.
Very sorry, John.
No, it's all good. No, it's good to get all of the bugs figured out. But you got a goal score that's at 66, and he's going to probably set a record this year.
Yes, sir. He needs 13 goals to set a record. Our starting 10, who I think his stats were 25 goals, 18 assists. We've been missing.
Wow. 25 and 18 last year. So we'll get into that discussion as well. So stats, let me get into stats last year, and we'll get into and Grayson Robbins was definitely someone that you really want to pay attention to. Grayson Robbins, to me, and this is where we'll get into the discussion about GMC Prep and their players. Grayson Robbins, who wore the number 8, was all over the place, and you could not miss Grayson Robbins because you're anticipating him being a scorer. But at the same time, with the way that things were defensively, like I said, when Coach joins us again, I'll ask about Grayson Robbins specifically. And there were another couple of players that were attached to being those fulcrums that we talked about when it comes to, all the players. Okay, so 13 goals left for a player that's got 66.
Yes, sir. I just switched to my computer. I'm sorry. Hopefully,
all good. No, it's all good.
Yeah, so we were missing 2 attackers, but last night what I felt like and we were still missing them, and I felt like we were able to find some goals, obviously 7 goals. We controlled the game for, I would say, 70, 80% of the game, and I felt like we played more free-flowing soccer. And, when you play the schedule, the kind of schedule we had the first 3 games, I mean, that's to be expected. I could really tell that we were up to speed. A lot of Friday night specifically was organized, trying to stay organized in defense, transitioning from offense to defense faster. I felt like we were lacking that. Saturday's game ended up being kind of a comedy of errors, but we still were able to stay compact, get organized fast, and last night it really showed where we were transitioning, winning the ball in the midfield, and just transitioning a lot faster than I thought we had been in the previous games.
And you've got Jones County coming up. Brian Lawson from Jeff Davis coming up here. He's in the on-deck circle in another couple of minutes. How many players are you taking to Jones County? And that sets up my follow-up question.
You know what? That's an interesting question. I made a list. We typically try to do a travel roster. I actually have 14 seniors this year. So it's tough because, I want to involve, I really want to involve the young guys. We have some talented young guys, and you want them to get those minutes in varsity when they can. But we have our first JV game tonight, actually. So that kind of helps with, a lot of these guys are going to play a full JV game. And so giving them the day off tomorrow is probably helpful. So I have a travel roster of about 24 for tomorrow night.
The reason I ask is because I don't take a trip to Gray without stopping at Old Clinton Barbecue. And I didn't know if that was going to be the team meal. And if it was, if you were going to have to take barbecue back for those that weren't on the travel roster on the JV side, or what the meal plan was, or if that's going to be the take home a sack on the way home. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, I don't know if Old Clinton could fit us in there, but fun fact for you, we actually have an Old Clinton in Milledgeville now. So we actually get it over here as well. It's actually a mile from my house. So I still eat a lot of Old Clinton.
See, that's strong. And traditionally, and I'll be down in Macon for the basketball championships, and the boss never forgives me if on my way back I don't stop at Old Clinton on my way back to Atlanta and come back with the full bag of everything that's going to last us about 2.5 hours by the time it gets home.
Yes,
what mission is in your mind for the Jones County match? What are you looking for to continue to build as you get ready for region play?
Yeah, I just want to continue to kind of build upon what we built. Well, starting this weekend and then put together last night. We've got some friends over there that play club soccer over here in Milledgeville. Always exciting to see them, but to keep focus and as cliche as it sounds, it's a business trip. It's always just go get it done. And I told them last night, I said, we need to start putting together full 80-minute games where we don't give any hope to our opponents, because all you need is one little slip up, one goal. And it happened to us last night, just a mistake right before halftime. And you can hear them, come on, guys, let's go. We're in this. Well, don't let them in it. Don't let them in it, because hope is what kills you. Good or bad, as Ted Lasso says. You're just looking to kind of build and put together full performances, and at the same time, I'd like to see some other guys get on the field, and the basketball guys are back. So that's good. Get them involved where we can. They've got some fitness tests that are a requirement, but I'm sure they'll handle those today. We'll make sure we get those fitness tests done today. But just continue to build, and then on we go.
Awesome. As always, Dustin, it was great to see you when you came up for Creek Cup. Great to catch up with you here in the Red Clay in the midweek, and we'll be keeping an eye on you. And don't be surprised if we knock on your door again soon. Okay?
Yes, sir. Anytime. Really good to talk to you.
There we go, Dustin Jennette. He's the head coach of the boys' side at GMC Prep. Now, this is where we do the hot tag. It's like we're in the middle of the ring, and you look over and you see the distance between you and your tag team partner, and you make that big lunge, you make the big dive over into the corner, you get the hot tag. This is where we do hot tag. We go hot tag from Milledgeville to the Pinelands. Now we go to Hazelhurst and catch up with Brian Lawson at Jeff Davis. How are you, sir? ?
Doing well. How are you doing?
It is soccer season, and it is putting the pedal down and making sure that everything is the way that you want it to be. 2-1 out of the blocks. What have you learned about yourself so far?
Well, I've learned that we don't really start real fast. We've been losing every match that on the boys' side that we've played this year so far. We've been down 1-0 to start. So we've come along as the end of the first half comes out, and second half we played pretty well in each match. And the girls' side, we have a pretty good striker up top. She's decent. So it helps a lot when you got speed on the girls' side and can make things happen. So
3-0 out of the blocks on the girls' side as well. And, for you, when you are having to balance both programs, I mean, we've talked about it in seasons past. what I guess did you learn anything about yourself as the soccer grandmaster at Jeff Davis, handling both programs coming into this year? Or did you change anything? Were there reaffirmations in your approach? What did you learn, you think?
Yeah, I've talked about it here before. I tell my coaches there's 90% off the grass and 10% is actually coaching in this. And doing with both programs, there's so much going on that I can't be with one team the whole time. And that's what we do a great job with my assistant coaches, man. They're awesome we can move from one squad to the other. It's the same verbiage. So all 5 of us coach the girls and all 5 of us coach the boys. And so for them to be able to hear it also, if something does come up where I have to go take care of one side more than the other, or one coach has to go here, the JV program, we have enough capable bodies that we're able to do that. And that actually happened this week. I've been with the girls probably more than I should have been than the boys this side. And I stepped over to them yesterday to try and help more. I float and I try, and it's give and take at times. It's difficult, but getting pulled from every direction. But it's just time management is the biggest thing.
With the season, with the schedule, the way that it's been so far, you start off with Toombs County and Metter, and those are programs that you cannot sneeze about. You can't catch your breath on them. You've got to make sure that you're ready. What is it like for you and for Toombs and for Metter and for, like we had with Dustin at GMC Prep? What's it like to see that particular section of the state of Georgia, in Class A and maybe whether it's D1 or D2 and in AA? What's it like for you and those other coaches to have this kind of a round robin thing where you're seeing each and every one of you grow as a part of this process? What's it like to see that part of the state grow and evolve when it comes to soccer?
It's unbelievable. Like the youth level is what's big now, man, around here. And it's kids in the rec departments, kids in the club ball. Like, there's so many clubs now in South Georgia, like where we're at, that's getting kids involved in it so early that it's just elevating everything. From when I first got here in 2017, we only had one club within like an hour and a half, and it was in Vidalia. Now you can't swing a dead cat without hitting one of them rolling around. They're all quality too. Like my boys in one of them, they're playing, and it's good. So you're trying now to compete with, the Thomasvilles that are so close to a bunch of clubs in Tallahassee and Tifton, and then some of these northern areas like GMC where you can play out of the middle Georgia area, that there's something here for us. And you see that with Metter, like, whoo, Metter, buddy, they're better than they've been in the past. They're salted. They have a kid that plays up top for them that is really good. He plays out of the club here for us. And Toombs with Jeremy, what he does over there they're always tough. I made a point this year, and I told our kids, especially on the boys side, like, we're going to play tough people early. Like, we're going to have Toombs early. We got Metter back to back. Appling comes in here soon. I was just looking at my schedule. You got Thomasville that's coming. North Hall's coming from up north to come play us on Thursday. And Sumter County's got a couple really good strikers and kids out there coming to play us next week. So we wanted to make this schedule super tough for us early to test us. And it's tested us now. Like, I know I was saying earlier, and I know I'm rambling a little bit, but we've been down 1-0 in every match we've played this year. We were down 1-0 at Toombs, down 1-0 at Metter at our house, came back, ended up giving up late, and we were down 1-0 at Metter at their place. So it on the boys' side just tells resiliency that these kids got.
Yeah, I mean, Fitzgerald is on the schedule as well, and I think you're going to Ben Hill County, right?
Yes, this Friday.
I mean, and North Hall. How did the North Hall? Because I'm used to non-region being in your region and you kind of beat up on each other. How did North Hall come to be?
So I literally was talking to my coaches about trying to find something out of state. Like, we don't make a lot of trips out of South Georgia, and when we do, we don't really fare real well. And like, even when they come down here, and I was looking around for something, and all roads lead through Lance Helton. He knows the guy in North Hall that was looking for a trip down here, and he used to be here back in the day. He got married at the big house in Hazelhurst, he told me 15 years ago, and he coached at Brunswick for a while. He's up there now, and they were wanting to make a little trip down south. So they got us on Thursday, day off, and they're going to Brantley on Saturday. So I was like, yeah, man, like, I'm down. If you want, I'm not coming up there, but if you want to come on down here, come on, it's fine.
Wow. I mean, and that's, yeah. And to your point, everything is like Lance It's like, hey, Lance, I need this. And he's like, okay, give me a second. Bang, 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 and it's all squared away.
Yeah. I played with him somewhere in Valdosta State, or play with him at Ball State, or know somebody that's on the DC at South. It's crazy. The coaching connection is nuts.
Yeah, and like I said, for me to see the evolution of what is going on there in your pocket of Georgia that you've been gracious enough to help open up for us, so we can kind of continue to be educated about all of it. I want to get into the roster this year on boys and girls side for the breakdowns. And I know that we have in the discussions that you and I have had about Georgia call-up, Fish Munsiak is definitely at the top of the list. We saw him last year. We know how he's continued to evolve. What is it that makes him that special player that's been a part of the fabric there at Jeff Davis?
He was a baseball player in middle school. And we split time with him 7th grade, and he ended up committing to playing with us and just wanted to try something different. And he's only been playing soccer for 4 years.
Wow.
He's only played club ball for 2 out of Tormenta, out of Statesboro. He's so young to the game. His ceiling is so high. He's a 4.0 key. He's FCA. He's Beta Club Merit Scholar. He's one of our captains. He's preseason All-State. He was All-State last year, and he's different. And we don't really, and it's our niche kids that we have here in Hazelhurst that play soccer. He is not those niche kids. When you get someone from another sport that wants to give it a shot, and literally just gave it a shot and trusted us. And it's just a different athleticism. It's a different knowledge, it's a different vision. And being a baseball guy, baseball background, you can track a ball really well in the air. You know how to jump fly balls and get where you need to be, how to make still second and third. You can make those runs. And what he does for us in our midfield and we move him up top is a difference. We're down 1-0 at Toombs, and we've made a choice. Me and my assistant coach, hey, we got to make a change. And we moved him from the midfield up top, and boom, boom, 2 goals. We go up 2-1. We're at Metter last night, down 1-0. We got a PK in the first half, tied at half, and then we made the move again and changed it, put him up top, difference, boom, boom. He's involved in both the goals. He's got 5 goals on the year so far in 3 matches. He had a hat trick in the scrimmage against Dodge. He's a warrior is what he is. And he's a great leader on and off the field, man. He's unbelievable. He's also part of the chess club. So, random.
Yeah. I mean, that's random, but the baseball guy, I mean, that's, yeah. And all of those parallels that you're talking about, where you come in and you can gauge certain things, and then it turns into what you've been able to see over the last handful of years on the girls' side. Out of the blocks, once again, you're looking at the same schedule. Then what is it? What are the drawing cards on the girls' side so far this year?
Well, once again, we got a striker in Alex Arano, who's a junior this year. She's got 10 goals on the year so far. And my backup striker that rotates in to give her a breather has been out the last 3 weeks with a concussion. So she's been doing it all herself. And she is she can play wherever she wants to play in the next level, but she's going to I think she's choosing to go into the military. So she's not even going to play on the next level. But she's unbelievable. And then, we talk about the parallels with things. I'm always I've coached everything besides swimming, getting a baseball kid to come play soccer and him playing for us, being able to track the ball in the air and be able to see things is different. Same thing with basketball. I have so many parallels with basketball. I'd say it's basketball and grass all the time. When your back line rotates and shifts and zones, it's a 2-3, it's a 1-2-2 or 2-1-2 zone defense is all it is on soccer. And so we got a girl in the back named Alara Van. She was a basketball player for a couple of years and come out just to try soccer for 2, and she's starting a center back for me. And her being able to see backdoor cuts on the court, but being able to sit in the back, it helps, man. And they're doing a great job right now. Just being able to execute on the grass. And that girls side, we're excited. We think we might be able to make a little run, but once again, for us, all roads lead through Thomasville. So you gotta be able to compete with the big dogs. So
yeah. So then let me ask you this. When it comes to competing with the big dogs, and in Thomasville's case, that's both literal and figurative, when you try to get over that hump and you're trying to coach it, and you're also trying to just have conversations about it, when you're trying to convince a team that they can get over that hump. As a coach, how do those conversations go, either on the practice field or inside four walls, when you're having those talks to try to remind them about how good they are and how good they can be, and you've got this obstacle that I know you can get past? What are those conversations and convincing moments like?
So we're actually talking about this on the way home last night on the bus, me and my assistant, Parks Jordan. 2 years ago, we're at Appleton County. It goes into overtime, and we had been working our dudes that, like, we are not the fastest, we're not the biggest, but we're going to be in the best shape. Like, we're going to try and run you. We're going to try and move the ball side to side and break you down. Mm-hmm. And Appleton those years ago, Fish Munzak, as a young kid, Connor, he buried a goal to put us up, and we ended up beating them in Appleton. And I told him at the end, and told the kids too, and I told them, like, that was our turning point to me on what we were doing. We changed fitness, we changed our diet, we changed how we were doing everything. And it was a grind. And that was the turning point for us. If it goes south, you know, the kids might not buy into what you've been preaching, and them to actually see it through and see the fruits of your labor and you getting that win. That's what we go back to all the time. Like, what you do on the grass at practice field, all that push, like, you got to stay in games late to be able to compete in the second half. And like, resiliency with us being down all year, trying to, you know, you see you're always in it no matter what. It takes one wrong bounce or one thing to take place, and like, you're able to do it. And, you know, we played probably the best we ever played against Thomasville last year at our place and got the win and won back-to-back region champs on the boys side, but they are loaded in everybody's back. And then we play them in the Elite Eight, and they just outplay us. We're, you know, they were the better squad, and it's just trying to keep preaching that those little things, man. Like, you've got to do the little stuff right, because we're not big enough, talented enough to just go out there and beat somebody.
Kelly Bowler, Kelly Bowler, Johns Creek coming up in a couple of minutes. We'll talk Creek Cup and all these other things. You mentioned diet, and that was another thing that stuck with me just as you were talking a second ago. Mm-hmm. You've had to work things, I think, dietetically. Is that the word? So you had to adjust diet as well. I find that really interesting.
So we found out here, like, we were cramping out pretty bad about a year and a half ago, 2 years going, like, coming into the Appleton game, and we were hydrating them. They were doing what they're supposed to drinking wise. And we found out it wasn't a liquid issue. It was a food issue. Like, they were going out and eating fast food or eating fried foods or not eating the right stuff at school. And so we put a ban on stuff. Like, if we see you somewhere doing something you're not supposed to be doing or eating, like, you got 150 burpees. And and look, people in the community now, the community knows these Hispanic mamas and daddies, like, it's big time under the lights. They want to win too. So if they see one of our kids out of McDonald's drinking a milkshake they're not supposed to, we get sent pictures.
Wow.
Like, we got a couple kids busted early on at McDonald's in the drive-through line, and like, a mama sent us pictures. And so it basically stops now. So it don't really come up too much. So we try and feed them before home and away matches, something good, some kind of pasta, chicken, spaghetti, something like that to get in them. And then if they go out and eat on their own or around there, like, they have parameters within Hazelhurst. Like, they know the restaurants they can go to. And so it has really, I'm telling you, it has changed us on both ends, girls and the guys, where we're able to last, because just how hard they work, man, and how hard they push. They got to have good energy in them, man. And people snitch on them now. There's snitches out here. That's real.
But they take pictures of them at the McDonald's?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Wow.
If they're in McDonald's and they see them eating something they're not supposed to, or they're at like a fast food restaurant, me and my assistant coaches will get a picture, and they'll say, hey, we saw this person here, hold them accountable. And we get to hold them accountable. We don't tell them who sent it, because we don't like giving out our confidential informants. But they got busted twice, back-to-back weeks before matches, the boys did. And ever since then, it pretty much is Connor Munzak, or our man Fish, is basically the leader of the health nutrition plan. Like, he's not going to let nobody do what they're not supposed to do. He's going to hold them accountable on that end. So,
wow, that's fantastic that you've got food CIs there in the Pinelands. That's great.
Little thing.
North Hall tomorrow afternoon. Then you're at Fitzgerald the day after tomorrow. And then you get a little time off, but then it's Sumter and Appling and Region and Appling and Thomasville and Bacon and Brand.
The grind is about to start.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's great. As always, my friend, it's great to see you. And thanks for dropping by for the intel and everything. We got
Yep.
you out just in time.
There it is. That's it. They're about to roll in.
All right. Thanks as always, Brian. We'll catch up with you soon, my friend.
Yeah, appreciate you. Go Jackets.
All right. Brian Lawson, the head coach, the major domo of both programs at Jeff Davis. And now it's time to go hot tag. We lunge into the corner from the center of the ring again, and we sit there and we do the tap. Kelly Bowler was ready for the tag at Johns Creek. And so, Coach, it's good to see you. Have you recovered from Creek Cup?
Yeah, for the most part, except for I had a game last night and it didn't go very well. So it was a sleepless night. Let's just put it that way. So
well, when you have a night that doesn't go well, then I mean, do you still think about it a lot? Do you put a bookmark in it and try to get some rest? How does this work with you in a season, even if it is non-region and doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things? How do you handle a night like last night?
Well, I probably care more than I should. I've poured my heart and soul into this program. I built it. I'm the first coach at Johns Creek, the only coach Johns Creek has ever had. So, 17 years of coaching it. So I take every one of them personally. And so last night we had one player make a really, really bad decision on the field, put us down to 10 men for 60 minutes and just put our team at a disadvantage. And so that kind of decision just lets the whole team down and everybody's preparation going into the game. And Alpharetta was a good team. They got 11 seniors like we do. So we thought, this is going to be a great test for us, right? Local rival. It'll feel like a playoff game, like a region game. And then 20 minutes in, you can't really learn much in 20 minutes. So now we're back to, we got to wait for the North Atlanta game on Friday, but now we're down a player. So we'll see. But Creek Cup was great. So that was a ton of fun. And so that was the positive from the week, and so we'll try to bounce back on Friday.
Yep. And then it's 3 matches in a week with the North Atlanta, South Forsyth, and then you're in region play at Lanier in 9 days' time. When it came to, and I do want to get into the weeds a little bit with Creek Cup this year and getting it ready for next year, because when we had you on last week, I promised a post-mortem for everybody about logistics and getting ready for 27. Your takeaways off the field from Creek Cup 26 would be what?
That everybody's reviews of it were great. Lee County already wants to come back, which is great. We beat them pretty handily in the first game, but they said that's what they needed. They wanted to show their boys what it was like to play in the Atlanta metro area, teams they would have to play in the playoffs. But then they bounced back with a win over Gilmer in the second game, and they loved their experience. So they want to come back. And the Carrollton coach, Scott New, he messaged me and said, first class experience. Thank you so much. So all the off the field reactions were really good. Everything seemed to go great. We did really well in ticket sales and that kind of stuff for it. We had 5 college coaches here. One of them spent the entire day Saturday here, the entire day. The Emmanuel College coach, Coach Nacho, he sat here from noon until 10:30 p.m. And didn't miss a game, and then wanted to talk to players after every game. He's invited several to their ID camp. From my team, he just asked for the Carrollton and Campbell coach's contact information so he could get a hold of a couple more players that he really liked. So that's the purpose of Creek Cup, is to showcase not only programs, but players that are still looking for an opportunity in college. And so this gives D3 schools, JUCOs, NAIA schools a chance to come watch some players that are still unspoken for. So,
all right. Then let me bookmark that for a second. So then would anybody in Johns Creek's roster, and this is probably, you've kind of probably half answered the question, would anybody on the roster qualify for our Georgia call-up categories where you think they're not getting looks that you think they should deserve, or they're not getting looks at all here in 26?
Well, so, one of my players is already going to the Coast Guard Academy. And let me tell you, they're getting a steal of a player. That's Ryan Gottschalk. He's probably Division I talent, but his family has a tradition of going to the Coast Guard Academy. So he wanted to go there. And so that's where he's going. Martin Sosa is borderline like Division I right now. He's got a few Division I schools after him, but I can tell you right now, he's a Division I player. It's so hard to compete nowadays for these U.S. players with the international recruiting, and so Division I schools, I went to Missouri State, which is making national news right now because they have 0 Americans on their team, so they're the first D1 program to not have any Americans on their team. I know the coach there well. He and I are buddies, but so it's hard for these players to get looks. Aiden Giacomelli, our striker that had a hat trick in the championship game, he's getting some D3 looks and a couple D2 looks. He's at Middle Georgia visiting today. So he's another one that's kind of flying under the radar. Kubert Keenanov is a winger that we've got that would definitely be somebody that I would look at as somebody that could emerge. He's got great skill on the ball. And he continues to, kind of be looked over. So there are several players that could definitely qualify under that.
How difficult is it these days? And I've had conversations with the other football coaches, the American football coaches, about the current state of affairs. And since you mentioned what's going on with Missouri State, you opened up another door for me. And so that's why I'm going down this road. How difficult is it for soccer coaches in this day and age to understand that, you've got the new National Signing Day, which is in December. Then you've got National Signing Day Classic, which is the one that we all grew up with in February.
Right.
Now you've got to deal with all of the transfers and the trickle down and the movement and NIL and all this kind of stuff that you're having to navigate. And is it in soccer the same where signing day in December, you have all of the D1s kind of sit there and jump in the pile, and then everybody that doesn't get their December priority ends up going group of 5 D2, and then come this month, is it everybody that is still trying to work the trickle down and fill in holes? Is it the same in soccer as it is in American football?
Yeah. So the early signing period, normally what you see, all the announcements are the international players that they've signed. Missouri, I follow Missouri State on Twitter because they're my alma mater. And so you look at the all their early signings were all the international kids. Now they don't have any national kids, right? So we've already established that. But what is tending to happen is you either sign international kids or you go grab transfers from other schools. The D1 schools are doing it that way because they don't want to wait for a freshman to develop anymore. So it's hard to get high school players D1 looks. And so you also have to battle with the players understanding that because the climate has changed, right? Things have shifted where when they were a little bit younger, they saw these kids, signing to play D1, going to Furman around here, et cetera, places like that. And it's hard to get those D1 looks because they do have the international, group to recruit from. Then they have the transfers to recruit from. So one of the best places to go is to D3, D2, and then, get to play immediately. And then in a year or two, you could potentially transfer to a bigger school, because if you're doing really well there, then you transfer and you move to a bigger school. So it's just, and that puts the D3 schools and, D2 schools in a bind as well. But then you almost have to market yourself as a place where you can come prove yourself and then move on. Right. And so that's kind of like how you almost have to market yourself for those D3 programs, I think. And so it's tough. So unless you're going there for the educational purposes, because those D3 schools are really strong educationally, right, you're going to see a lot of those kids move, I think, in the future.
Yeah, and that was why I wanted to ask that question, to try and see if there was a similarity where it's in and then it's top down and then top down trying to work their way up.
Yeah.
And so I didn't know if that collision was still the same, and that's why I asked.
Yes, it still is. And that's the same thing in college football. I follow Missouri State football very closely. And
all eligible Missouri State.
That's right. Let's go. And so the same thing is happening. We're getting all the, I don't want to use washouts, but like the kids that can't get on the field for, a Tennessee, et cetera, come to Missouri State. And then all the kids that are killing it at Missouri State transfer away and go somewhere bigger. right? So it's all this movement, and it's crazy, and it's the same in college soccer. So
Okay. I needed a clarification, and thank you for that.
Mhm.
Back to as the whiplash continues here
Mhm.
with Creek Cup. You've already started planning 27. You made
Yep.
that clear last week. How many? So it's 16 and 12 next year. Is that what you're?
Yeah,
Looking
16 boys teams and 12 girls teams. I have one girls slot left, and I have one or two more boys slots pending everybody like paying, right? And so I have like a March 1st deadline on paying. So then I can start shopping your spot again if you don't pay. And so because I just have to have some kind of down payment, some type of guarantee that you're going to come, because when I did this the first year, not this season, but last season, I got to August and a couple of teams were like, "Oh, we can't come anymore." And I was like, "Oh my goodness." And so, finding somebody with 2 openings on the same weekend was very difficult. That's how we ended up with Murray County in there last year. They came in last minute. They were looking for 2 games. And so they got 2 games on that same weekend. So I had to go to a different method last year of having people pay a little bit earlier to make sure that they were committed. And then, so this year I've kind of set a March 1st deadline for that, so that I know that teams are coming, so that, it's solidified. Also like to get them their schedule in advance, like let them know what bracket they're in, because some of these teams are playing teams from around here. So I don't want them to, schedule a non-region game against them the next week when they're going to be in the same group with them in Creek Cup. So.
All right. So the ones from outside, the 404, the 470, and the 678 this year were Gilmer,
Lee County,
Carrollton, Tallulah Falls, Islands.
Yep.
Who am
I
I
think you
missing?
got them. I think that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
And Georgia Military.
And GMC Prep. Right. So how many of them, are you at liberty to discuss the 27 schedule?
Yeah. So I've got it over here.
There you go. Attaboy.
Got my sticky note,
Hey, man.
And so far, Lee County is coming back. Greenbrier has come back. They were in it. They're bringing their boys and their girls. Okay. Richmond Hill has paid. They're ready to go. They're coming. Trying to think what other ones from out of town. I can pull up my spreadsheet, and it might look like I'm not looking at you anymore.
Hey, you're grabbing a spreadsheet. It's all good. I've got 4 notebooks, Kelly.
Yeah. So Tallulah, after my interview the other day when he was on right before me, he right away saying he was interested in that spot, and then one of those remaining spots. Troup County is interested in coming, and might come again. Islands is already paid again. So we've got several from outside the area that will be coming back. Not going to find my window again so I can know I'm looking at you. But
it's all good. Yeah, and look, I could, and this would be a conversation that you would have with the guest that was on before you. But Brian Lawson at Jeff Davis, I'm sure that since he's the major domo of the girls and the boys, I'm sure that he'd love a challenge like that.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to have him. So I'll shoot him an email after we get off. I'll email him and say, "Hey, I have a spot or 2 left. Do you want to bring your boys and girls team up?" So
strong. That'd be epic. So when you look at where you'd like for it to be next year, 16 and 12.
Yep.
What other goals and the pun was unintentional. Goals and aspirations are you looking at for Creek Cup as it continues to grow?
I would like to have more college coaches show up. I think the amount of college interest went up this year. I think we had about the same amount of college coaches last year, but this year they seemed a lot more engaged in after the players. Like they would come down on the field afterwards. They would ask me if they could go on the field, talk to the coaches. They came up and talked to me both Friday and Saturday about my team. So I would love to have more of the local colleges there, make it a bigger showcase event than it already is. You have a field packed with ECNL players. That Carrollton Campbell game, I know you weren't at our field, but it was insane. That game was crazy, and there was so much talent on the field. And I've offered Scott New a spot back in there because all of his class players are sophomores. I would love to have them come back as juniors and continue to showcase how, I don't want to play that team anytime in the next 2 years. They're going to be brutal. So, and that Campbell team is stacked as well. They had a pretty significant injury here that night. That was sad. But I would love to have more college interest in it. Big sponsors, coming in. We would love to have a sponsor the MVP award, and maybe give them something along with the MVP plaque for being the MVP of their bracket,
Right.
that kind of stuff. So, just little things like that would just make it even better. That's really what we're looking for.
Okay. And I didn't know if you wanted to turn this into how many teams you think that 4 brackets and 16, because obviously you got to look at days available and travel and all these kinds of things. Is that 16 and 16? Would that be your overall sweet spot over time?
I think 16 and 12 is probably the max, just
Okay.
because last year we were at 12 and 8 last year. And that was with only using Northview on Wednesday. So we could use Johns Creek on Wednesday also. So we could do Wednesday through Saturday.
Okay.
And then Northview this year had 3 games on Saturday, and we had 5, on Saturday. So we could definitely add, so 16 and 12 seems like the sweet spot where we could still fit all those games into 2 venues. Now, Chattahoochee's in it. I haven't talked to them about this yet, but if we needed another field, potentially, if it continued to grow, Chattahoochee might jump in and want to host as well to make the gate profit. But there's lots of different options or opportunities out there, that we could look into. So
okay, and yes, and I know that everybody else who is watching the show, I'm going to talk to Kelly for a second. Yes, we'd like to catch up with you as well, just from an SDH perspective about going forward too. All right, so with that one loss that you had, now you've got 3 matches in a week. What are you looking for from your group in the next week to remind them about what happened yesterday, have them not forget about it, but not dwell on it, so you can go forward?
So maturity, that's the number one thing, and positive attitude. Like it was tough last night, and I will just say I'm not happy with what happened last night. And so today we're going to have a long talk as a team about maturity and how a champion team, they lose games, right? Soccer games are not always fair. The best team doesn't always win. And so it's probably a sport where when you walk on the field, you never know what is going to happen in reality. A football game at the high school level, you can pretty much predict it. There are very few upsets in a high school football game. But bouncing back Friday would be big. Obviously, it's going to be a very tough opponent. It's an opponent that knocked us out of the Elite 8 2 years ago with North Atlanta. And we're going to be doing that without our starting goalkeeper. So we've got to bounce back, and we've got to show that, we have a champion's mentality. If we are true champions, if we are a team that wants to be taken seriously in 5A, then they're going to have to show this maturity. And one of the things we can't do anymore, we've been starting games slowly. Our first 20 minutes of probably our 3 toughest opponents so far have been kind of sloppy. And so we can't have that anymore. And we're going to have to fine tune what we do in warmups and in our mental preparation and things like that before we walk onto a field. And so those things have got to get better. And that's why you play non-region games, so you can figure this out. Right. Because we go to Lanier next Friday. Lanier looks good. They look very good. They only lost to Peachtree Ridge 1-0 last night. They beat Walnut Grove, who's very good. And they beat Dunwoody, who we also beat. So this Lanier team is going to be tough right out of the gate, and our region is always tough. So we've got to show up, and we've got to figure this out before next Friday.
And we will be keeping an eye on things as we go forward. I cannot thank you enough, for spending extended time with us in back-to-back weeks.
Of course.
Breaking everything down. And like I said, if you need a note to go to the principal's office about extended time, hanging out with us, just let me know. We're going to be obviously keeping an eye on you during the regular season. Be knocking on your door later on in the year.
Yep.
We can't thank you enough from SDH's perspective about letting us come and hang with you at Creek Cup. It's always a blast for us to be able to sit there and talk about the sport and be there and broadcast all these really cool rivalries that get to be a part of this whole thing.
No, it was so much fun, and I had Jason and Maddie here on Saturday for the finals, and listening to them go back and forth debating about the MVP of brackets, because she's a big center back lover, and he doesn't always lean towards the center backs. It's funny. So those two are quite characters. So.
Yep. After my games were done, I came over and I was behind. I literally stood under the heater in the booth that they were in while they were doing the last championship game. That was what I was doing. I was thawing out and trying not to talk, but no, it was great at Northview. And
Maddie made my center back very happy. He listened back to the game, and he was Daniel Wyborn, and he was, and that's another kid. That's another kid on your call ups that should be getting more looks. And he listened back to it. He was smiling from ear to ear about the comments she was making about him. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
Obviously, we'll be knocking on your door very soon. Thanks for doing this in back-to-back weeks. Go get some lunch, and we'll catch up with you soon, my friend.
All right. Thank you, sir.
There we go. Kelly Bowler, Missouri State alum. I forgot what bowl game they were in, but they were bowl eligible and they qualified for it. And it's always fun on the college football side of things. See, now for the college football show on the other side of the network, I need to grab Kelly when we get into Conference USA talk late in the year when it comes to conferences. We got to get into that. Okay. All right. Other couple of things before we get out of here. One of the stories that's always stuck with me for Creek Cup was Tallulah Falls and Northview, and the irony there. And I forgot to mention that apparently there's been a request by Coach Steele at Tallulah Falls to play Islands again next year, because I think it's a nephew that's on the JV side at Islands, and he'll be on the varsity roster, I think, next year. So I think there's a request that's going to be made from Tallulah Falls to have Islands in the same bracket again because of a nephew for Coach Steele at Tallulah Falls. And by the way, I did not know this. Coach Steele at Tallulah Falls is a Northview alum. I did not know this, that he's a Northview alum, and literally his parents' house is like 5 minutes away from the stadium. When we were talking on Friday before his opening round match, he's telling me about everything Northview, and I literally, Drew is calling the game, and I ducked out at the beginning of the second half, and he's telling me that, his house is like, and he points over behind the wall of the press box. He goes, my parents' house is like 5 minutes that way. And because of that, he still has his Letterman jacket. He still has his Letterman jacket in his closet there at his parents' house. And I asked him when I saw him, as we take care of a bot before we get off the air, I asked him, I said, well, did you go and did you get your Letterman jacket? He said, no, I didn't. I hadn't had the chance to go and see my parents. And this was Friday. I don't know if he had the chance on Saturday leading into the game to go see his parents or anything like that. But yeah, his Letterman jacket from his time at Northview, Coach Steele and the upper school dean Steele at Tallulah Falls, is in his closet in his parents' house at Northview. Viewer solicitation bot. Okay, so we had a viewer solicitation bot, and we took care of that, and it is workable flop. Okay, so workable flop, you've been blocked and you've been reported as a bot. So there you go. But yeah, so his Letterman jacket from Northview is still hanging in his closet at his parents' house 5 minutes away from Northview. And I thought that was hilarious. So that's the fun part of all of this. So I can't thank Kelly Bowler enough for being a great host with us for Creek Cup A, and for coming on here to talk about everything at Johns Creek and the status of recruiting and what it's like these days. Brian Lawson, the head coach at Johns Creek, the head coach at Jeff Davis, both boys and girls. And maybe we've done a little matchmaking for next year's Creek Cup. I don't know. And also leading off, it was Dustin Jennette, the head coach at GMC Prep, to find out what it's like for his program in Class A. And as they chase after yet another deep playoff run and playing for a championship there out of Milledgeville. So that's going to do it for another go-round of the Red Clay Soccer Report, presented by our friends at Kaiser Permanente. There. Yeah, over there, right there. So that's your update right there. Brought to us by our friends, as always, at Kaiser Permanente. Great partners and friends with us here at SDH. Next week, and I teased it with one of the coaches. I'm going to try and see if I can coordinate a Wintersville Classic rejoin this time next week. Because next Tuesday, it's Wintersville. We'll catch up with our friend Cody Case and the coaching staff at Valdosta, see if we can catch up with the coaching staff at Lowndes, find out about the growth of those 4 programs, what it's like to play Wintersville on the soccer side of things. I guess I'm sending out the bat signal now to go ahead and try and aim to do this next week. As a part of the show next week, a Wintersville Classic intro, redo, just an information session about Wintersville from a soccer perspective. Valdosta girls and boys, Lowndes girls and boys. I'm going to try to have all 4 coaches on in the show next week. And I don't know if I should turn it into a free-for-all and have everybody on all at once and do it for the first half hour, or if I should have Valdosta on in one segment, Lowndes on as a follow-up, and then go on with the rest of the program. I don't know. I'm debating the format, but I think next week we're going to try and do a Wintersville explainer in soccer. So we're going to try and do that next week. Once again, reminder tonight, 5:30 and 7:30. It is St. Pius and Brookwood from Brookwood Community Stadium in the David Hunter Athletic Complex. It's going to be another great 2 rounds of matchups with those schools in non-region play. St. Pius girls, Brookwood girls coming up at 5:30. And then after that, 7:30-ish, it'll be the boys matchup with St. Pius and Brookwood there as well. And we're going to be efforting guests for the show for tomorrow on the morning show. Right now, it is Lucas Panzica from 104.5 The Zone in Nashville. He's going to bat leadoff. We're efforting a special guest. We might go added time tomorrow. And obviously, we're going to find out about Atlanta Amputee Soccer at 9:30. And then we're going to have the Power Hour with our friends Nino Torres and Nico Moreno at 10 and 10:30. And I know that Nino is going to want to discuss what happened with Benfica, among everything else in South America. And Nico's going to discuss the Western Conference on Thursday before we go into added time, if we can secure our special guest. So that's the rundown for the rest of today and tomorrow. Friday on the morning show is the Show of Chaos. I've handed the keys over to our friends at Apple TV and Major League Soccer. Whoever they want to come in to talk about the show, about the season, they can. I don't know what the rundown is going to look like. 9:05 until 11 whenever. We'll break it all down for you as we get ready for MLS's back match week number 1. That's another go-around of the Red Clay Soccer Report here on the SDH Network. Thanks to all the schools and thanks to all of our partners that get to hang out with us every single week here on the network. So for everybody here, mucha platiel, play it safe. And since it is the end of the Red Clay, once again, just make sure you knock your cleats on the mat before you walk inside, and that you walk inside with as clean a shoe as possible. Play it safe, everybody. Mucha platiel. We'll catch up with you again tonight, 5:30 and 7:30, St. Pius and Brookwood. Tomorrow morning for SDH AM. We'll see you tomorrow.